Everyone, welcome back to Sweet Yellow House. I hope everyone is having a fantastic week. Today I have some really great projects for you. And before we get started, let me just say, if you haven't subscribed, please do. Go check out my website. I have the projects that I make for sale over there. And if you haven't gone over to check out my other channel, please do. I upload over there every Sunday. So let's get started. Today, the first project is a tea light holder, and I have this piece of wood that I got from old dresser or something. So I'm gonna grab my trimming 3 mold from IOD and also some amazing casting resin in tan. This mold is one of my favorites. I use it a lot, and I'm also going to use this on the second project that I have going on today. So I'm just measuring it to find out which design I like better, and then I'm going to start pouring my resin. This is a 2-part resin, equal amounts of each. You stir it together, and you're only going to stir this for maybe 30 seconds. It sets up really fast, so you want to give yourself time to pour that. Once I have that mixed up together, I'm just going to quickly pour that into the molds. And when you use a fast resin, you can make multiple molds really quickly, and it gets your project going really well. So I just kind of pour that and let that set up. It only takes 10 minutes or so, and then I just start placing those where I want. I'm just going to make enough of these molds to go around this piece of wood, trimming where I need to trim with just a pair of scissors, and you want to trim that while your mold is soft still. I'm going to use some Type Bond Quick and Thick to glue that on, just placing that where I want, making sure that I have enough glue on there. And then once I get that set where I want it, I'm just going to use some tape to keep that in place while it dries. I'm just making sure that the 2 ends of those molds meet up together and I don't have too big of a gap there. I'm going to let that glue completely dry before I start handling it, and once that has happened, I am then going to remove the tape. I'm using a small sanding block to just sand down kind of those sharp edges from that mold. And then once that's done, I'm just grabbing some glue in a syringe that I had left over and kind of sealing up those edges and holes that were in the wood. I let that glue dry completely as well. Then once that's done, I decided that I wanted to put some small feet on this, so I grabbed some small wood beads, and I'm just going to add those with the Type Bond wood glue. Once I have those in place, I'm just going to let those set up and make sure that the glue is dry so that when I start handling this, they don't pop off there. Once those are dry, I'm grabbing Alchemy in Rosemary. This is a new color that I'm using, so I'm just giving it a go. I'm going to pour some of that into a cup, add some salt wash to thicken that up. I want to add a lot of texture to this little piece of wood, and the salt wash is going to do that for me. I just stir that up really good. I let it kind of sit just for a few minutes just so that it can thicken up, and then with a brush I'm just pouncing that into all of that detail in the molds. I go all around this piece of wood, making sure that I have everything covered, all around the sides, top and bottom, and also around those little wood feet. I'm just giving that a dry with my embossing gun, and then I'm just going to set that aside. I'm grabbing these little tart tins. I believe I got these off Amazon, and using this hole punch, making sure that I work over a spare piece of wood. I'm just going to use a hammer and punch a hole in the center of those tins. I'm just placing those down and kind of twisting them. The tin that is coming out of the bottom is just kind of marking where those are going to go. And then I'm going to use that punch and punch that hole a little bit further in so that way I can find placement with my nail. Once I have that all done, I'm just going to go ahead and put those tins aside. I'm going to grab my Lvly finishing wax, and I'm just going to go through and put a really heavy coat of this wax all over using a soft brush. I'm putting it on the top and bottom and all the sides and all through the details on the sides. I don't even wipe that back. I let it go, and then I'm going to grab my bare antiquing dark wax and using another brush. Nope, I'm using the same brush, sorry. And then I'm just going to add that dark wax all over that little candle holder before I wipe it back. I grabbed a soft cloth and I'm actually doing a buffing motion to make sure that I have that buffed in really well and kind of feathered out, and I don't have any big clumps of wax anywhere. I'm going to go back to those little tart tins. I'm going to take them outside and using the bare matte black spray paint. I brought them in. It was really cold outside, so they weren't drying, so I just used my embossing gun to dry those. Once those are dry, I grab the Dixie Belle patina paint in bronze and I just stir that up really well because you want to make sure you're getting all of those metal flakes incorporated into that paint. And using a brush, I'm just going to do a couple of coats inside and out of these little tart tins, drying that with my embossing gun. Once I have those two coats on and dry, I grab my patina spray and I'm going to go in for my third coat. You have to use the spray while your paint is wet. So I'm only going to do 2 tins at a time, so to make sure that they don't dry out before I can get the spray on there. So I'm just doing the outside of these for right now, and then I'm going to do the 2 spray, do 2 more spray. And then I'm going to dry that patina spray and then turn them over and do the same thing. Once I have those all done and everything is dry, I'm then going to attach those with some little gold nails that I had in my stash and just putting those through the holes and lining them up with the holes I punched in the wood. I'm just going to use a hammer to hammer those in and then using that punch to settle that nail deeper to hold that tin in place. I really liked how this turned out. It was just a scrap piece of wood and I threw some molds on there with some really great paint, and you have something fantastic. I hope you guys like this project. The tea lights are rechargeable and I believe I got those on Amazon. This is a tote, like it's a magazine tote, but I'm using it as a bath towel tote for the bathroom. I thrifted this a couple of weeks ago. I did that haul on my other channel, so go check that out. Again, I'm going to use this Trimming 3 mold. And before I get started, I'm going to go ahead and attach my molds before I start painting or doing anything else. So I just decided upon which design I wanted to use, made those, and I'm trimming that again while those molds are still soft. I'm going to use the Type On wood glue to attach those, and again using some tape to tape those in place. I'm going to use a paintbrush just to wipe off any excess glue I have so I don't have a big mess when it's all over. Again, just making sure that those line up really well, using that brush to add some extra glue kind of in that space at the bottom, wiping off any excess, and then taping those down with some tape. I do that for each side of this little magazine rack, and then I'm going to set that aside for that glue to dry completely. Once that glue is all dry, I'm then going to start removing that tape, and then I realize that I have like a little gouge taken out of the side of that. So I'm going to use some air dry clay, and just with my finger I'm going to push some of that clay into any of those little crevices and missing pieces that need filling. I'm doing two things at one time. I'm removing that tape and then filling as I go. I'm also going to use that that clay to fill in any gaps from the bottom of that. And then I set that tote aside and let that clay set up and dry completely. And then using a sanding block, I'm going to sand all of that smooth. And then that little red handled pointer thing, I'm using that to gouge out any clay that was filling that detail in the molds. I grabbed this Amy Howard's at home. This is One Step paint. This is a dark base black color. This is my first time using this, and it kind of scared me at first. I'm not gonna lie. It went on really smooth, but the paint looked really gray, so I wasn't sure that it was going to dry down, and it looked super streaky, and so I wasn't sure if it was going to do what I wanted it to do. So I put on the first coat, and then I dried that, and then I started with the second coat, and the coverage got better, and I dried that. By the time it was done, I did 3 coats and I dried that completely. I will say that this is a self-leveling paint, and you can see here that the finish is pretty good. It's really good. So I grabbed my IOD Saint Germain transfer set, and I'm going to pick out a couple of designs that I like, just picking and choosing where on the tote they're going to go. I like these bright colors against that black paint. I think it's really a gorgeous combination. So once I have all of my transfers picked out, I just start applying those to the tote. I just used a little transfer stick with that, and then just making sure that I have all of that design transferred over, that I'm not pulling up any of that. I go and start transferring this big design to the side, just placing that where I want it. And the bigger designs kind of take you a little bit. You just have to be patient with it. I do trim off any of the excess when I have a big piece like this. Just makes it easier for me to hold and then finish transferring that onto the tote. If I feel any sticky pieces, I will lay that carrier sheet back down and go over it with my transfer stick before I burnish that, because I don't want it kind of catching that design and tearing it up with that carrier sheet. Once I have all of that put down, I'm just making sure that everything is good and I don't have anything kind of lifted or messed up. And then I'm going to grab Amy Howard's matte sealer. I really like the matte in this paint and I wanted to keep it that way. So this is a really great matte sealer. I have to say that this is probably my favorite. The finish is really smooth. It really does keep that matte look and it coats really well. So I just do a couple of coats all over that tote, making sure I'm going over those transfers to seal it in. And then I decide that I want to put some of these little metal feet on here. I'm going to apply those first with the Gorilla super glue so that I can keep those in place. They did come with little screws. So I'm gluing them on first, and then I'm going to use the screws to attach them even further. So that's how that turned out. I think the feet add a little extra something to that. I really like the color combination of the black and the bright flowers. This is a really great size of tote. Like I said, you can use it even to roll blankets up in, towels, or even magazines, records, anything like that. So I hope you liked my projects today. I hope you got some inspiration from that. Let me know which project was your favorite. Thank you so much for watching and spending your time with me. I really do appreciate it. Again, a lot of these projects end up over on my website for sale, so go check that out. And again, I upload on my other channel every Sunday, so if you're interested about what goes on over here behind the scenes, you can catch that there. And don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you soon.